On this episode of Star Trek Universe, get ready for gladiators and glad penis as McCoy and Spock fight for their lives in an arena while Kirk claps cheeks and pleases his weenah.
Jesus.
Seriously, there is a lot to talk about on this episode. It is packed. We're talking Star Trek 214, bread and circuses, right after these words from our mystery Claudius Marcuses.
I swear, what?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't have to. I don't know either. It's very meta, though. The bread and circuses to us as an audience is exactly that scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
More, command me.
Welcome into Star Trek Universe. I am your host, David C. Robertson.
And I am Effie Uphellers, who definitely waited slightly too long on that cue. But I'm out of practice. It's fine.
Yeah, we're incredibly out of practice. If you don't know the show, me and my buddy Matt, we talk about news and the new Star Trek episodes. We do reviews for those. We have not done so in quite a while. And you and I, Effie, have not done this in a while where we discuss old Star Trek. Effie has never seen it before. I've seen it a million times. I have no clue.
Yeah, I barely know what I'm talking about. It's why I don't listen to the news, because I don't know what it means. But yeah, last time we did this, I was sitting next to you, which has been a while. But I mean, we needed some space, clearly, so I went back across the ocean, and that's how that went.
Yeah. And I don't know. Did we do another one? I don't know.
I don't know. What
do I know? It's
been too long.
Yeah, I had a whole health scare thing and had some seasonal depression before that. So
same. Yeah. The sun came out a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh right, this is what it feels like to be slightly more alive than I was, and. It's way too early for spring because everything's flowering and blossoming and it's gorgeous, but also it started doing that in mid-March, which wasn't great for our climate, but what you gonna do? It's good for my mental health, so really nature can go fuck itself.
That part. All right, so we'll talk about bread and circuses here. The Memory Alpha synopsis. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are captured on a planet that resembles the Roman Empire, but with 20th century technology. They are set to die at the hands of gladiators for the sake of public spectacle on a TV game show.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got thoughts, and I know you do too. I'm going to let you go first. You're the person who hasn't seen it before.
That's fair. There's a lot of shit I enjoyed. It's a simple concept. It's just, okay, what if Rome kept on going and retained a lot of stuff for 2,000 years? Sure. But that shot of the arena just making you think, oh, it's kind of a shitty set, and then you're zooming out, oh, it is a television set. It's delightful. And another nod to we had another nod to the pointy-eared devil thing. Of course, that was such a big deal back then. But the meta of it all is really entertaining to me, and it's just, it leads to this twist at the end where I'm like, okay, I guess. But it feels out of place purely because the Christianity of the 60s doesn't mesh entirely for me with the Star Trek timeline where, weren't we a little bit past it? We've had nods to Christianity, but this was just firmly in there of no, Christianity is universal because that makes sense, and it will eternally be the thing that upends the Roman Empire, even if I don't know, the Son of God this time was a bit late, or well, no, it's been there for 2,000 years, they say. So
Yeah, it was subdued.
no, yeah, yeah. So it's roughly the same timeline, except Christians weren't as entrepreneurial until presumably later in time. It's interesting because that just makes the whole concept be what if Constantine never converted? What if the emperors never conceded? And that's not what you go into the episode with, but it is an interesting twist, and I enjoy the son thing. It's fine. It's fun. It just the response by the characters at the end feels a bit too reverent, if that makes sense. Where I'm like, okay, I would have to rewatch it to be like, does this work for me? Because on first watch, I'm like, oh, this is the 60s perspective on Christ. And then, looking back to it, you could take it as a, like, oh, to see it all happen again, sure, in a curiosity manner of Kirk being interested in how that history went, but I'm like, nothing else really indicates that we're still a very Christian society in the Federation. So that, to me, it raises a lot of questions without answering that many. But it like, other than that, it's a like, the fight scene actually involved some non-stable camera work where I'm like, ooh, we're doing interesting shit now with the directing. Like as soon as Spock has that angle, like, that's just a good shot. It's fun. It's fun. I'm just, yeah. Like, I'm not down on it by any means. I am slightly disappointed that we didn't have a Latinification, if you will, of Kirk, because you would end up with Kirkus, and that is, well, Circus. So I feel like that's a missed opportunity.
Brandon Kirkuses.
Yes, exactly. Someone make that pun. But this is apparently an unpunny world we live in. Well, but yeah. I would also, well, we'll get into the sun worship of it all, but because I have notes, but
sure, I have notes too.
Yeah, I'm sure you do in prep, because the moment they said, well, there was no sun worship in the Roman Empire, that's much more primitive. I'm like,
totally fucking was. It was like 3 or 4 of them,
dude. Just what the fuck were you thinking?
This is one of those episodes where, like, when Star Trek fans are like, well, we have to slide the timeline because this is supposed to be the future of our world. And I'm like, no, they have been so massively historically incorrect about things that happened in our world throughout the decades. Yeah. I am perfectly okay with this just being like, not at all our world. It's just this is not shadow.
Our Earth. This is just Earth 37, whatever the fuck. Yeah. Right. No, sure. Because this makes no sense otherwise. Also, how many planets that are Earth-like in our universe end up with the same exact fucking history? Like, come on. Roman, like, sure, even if a Roman Empire is inevitable, why would they end up speaking the same vernacular English? Like, come on. Well, this is just all convenience. Let's be real.
This is the only time that they ever said, like, oh, it's fucking English. And
yeah, we don't have to translate shit.
Right. But is very specifically so they could do the son homophone thing.
That's fair. You need to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I want to point out,
soul and Filius is it's not quite as resonant. Yeah, no, right. It doesn't work as well.
One of the things I want to point out about this episode is, and I'll get to a lot of the points that you talked about. You fucking hit the whole episode. Damn.
Yeah, you were like, just talk, and I was like, oh, you're taking a sip. I'll just continue rambling.
Well, I mean, I've got rambles.
Good, go for it.
So one of the things that's really unique about this episode is the crew visit this planet and they effectively have no impact. Marcus is dead.
They suddenly care about the Prime Directive.
Well, yeah, but Marcus is dead, but they make it out of there, and that culture continues as it was.
Yeah.
Which, to me, feels like a great ending to an episode where the enemy is the savagery of television and the lure of the almighty rating.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Especially with all of the in-episode commentary about how the characters in Star Trek have moved beyond television. But have they?
We don't need that shit anymore.
But have they? Because we'll get into it later. But during this episode, they were apparently dealing with a lot of television issues, like primarily the transition from Desilu to Paramount. Because Gulf and Western bought Desilu and they went to Paramount, and Paramount comes in with budget restraints coming into play, time constraints. Like they cut they went like 6.5 days. They had a schedule of 6.5 days, sometimes to 7 to film an entire episode. And Paramount comes in and goes, "No, bitch, that's just going to be 6. And that's it. Like you don't have a day and a half extra."
Yeah. Fuck that.
So there's all of that. And there's, I think fears on the part of Roddenberry that Paramount was going to cancel them.
Of course.
So he was also kind of thinking in that term, like shortly after this episode is produced, there is an article that comes out that says Star Trek is on the verge of cancellation. It bolstered the fans into a writing campaign.
Of course.
Paramount was swamped with letters. They're pretty sure Roddenberry was the one that leaked the information out. Whether it was true or not, he
doesn't matter.
Trying to secure a foothold.
Yeah.
They still had pretty good ratings at the time. There were other shows that were more liable to be canceled, but Roddenberry's going to Roddenberry.
Exactly, and he's right, because sci-fi fans will swamp the fucking post office. That is just we're like fans. This kind of fandom, like, ooh, that'll destroy a studio no matter what you do. It's fun. It's just part of the deal. We're very fanatical.
Yeah,
and that tends to help franchises stay alive.
Yep. And they had this idea of, I can't remember what it's called now. I never can, and I always have to scroll around and find it. But this law of parallel Earths that they've talked about.
The parallel development of society, something.
Right.
He something with an H. I don't fucking know.
It's Hodgkin's law of parallel planetary development.
Of course. How could I forget?
And it is a thing that is very heavily utilized because of budget in Star Trek, the original series. And it is a thing that is barely ever talked about ever again in Star Trek, except for Lower Decks, who makes fun of the original series for doing it.
Of course. Yeah. No, it's an easy way to be like, well, they all kind of follow the same stages, and sometimes they get stuck. It's fine. We can use the gladiator costumes from any other show that has ever done gladiators. It's great.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense. It's fine. But it's not our universe.
Yeah. I like all of the canned reactions and the fights to the death, like lowest common denominator programming, while, as you mentioned, they are bringing in a beautiful slave woman to sex up Kirk. We have gratuitous sex bullshit, lowest common denominator programming. They are titillating us as they are at the same time complaining that the network is forcing them to do fight sequences and they're obsessed with ratings and wonderful. Totally beautiful.
It's great, and it makes sense within the plot as well, because it is weird that Kirk doesn't immediately go, Mr. Asshole, the proconsul, is trying to convince me of the perks of our society and how we've arranged things, and like trying to bribe me instead of punish me, whatever. And then the proconsul never attempts that, which is weird. Because why let him, I mean, he explains himself in the sense of like, well, you gotta fuck before you die, right? You're a real man.
Yeah, and he's trying to appeal to something of himself that he sees in Kirk. Like, Kirk gets here and he doesn't fold like Merrick did.
Exactly. Merrick is disrespected very overtly because now he sees, oh wait, these people can be non-losers who immediately bend the knee, and that's how he earns respect within this society, and it makes sense. But also, there's no attempt to bring him into the fold like Merrick was. So that's going against expectation, but it makes enough sense for him to be like, oh, you gotta die, buddy. That's what strong men do, except me, but the rest of them.
And I love the critique of capitalism. Spock is intrigued by this idea that slavery evolving into an institution with guaranteed medical payments and old age pensions, like, woof. That is like, ugh. Like, man, that's like, he doesn't say anything.
We're just appeasing the slaves. We're just keeping the term servitude, but
Right. By the way,
and like service and the Latin word for fucking slave.
A hot button.
That's
word
an industry.
Those days. Yeah.
Yeah. Still is.
Yeah. And look, they got away with it because they're like, oh, we're talking about the Romans. We're not talking about America. This isn't at all just America with Rome clothing.
No. It's not a bunch of togas over, the capitalist television industry we're critiquing from the inside. I love the buttons of just the very clear can boos and hisses and all of them labeled. It's amazing. It's very camp, and yet it makes total sense for it there not to be an actual audience. Aside from, getting a bunch of extras and money and time. It fits the society as portrayed. Very well. So it's there's just a ton of delight in this episode.
I love the usage of the Roman gods being sort of degraded and bastardized and put into like advertisements. This is like, this is the Jupiter 8 car. Yeah, okay, we'll do
the
this.
Neptune, whatever the fuck that was.
Right, yeah.
Oh, delightful.
And there's a lot of interesting conversation in this episode with Merrick, trying to justify the deaths of the deaths of his crew, talking about like those that were able to accept that this, or those that were able to adapt to this world are still alive, and those that couldn't are dead. That's the way it is with life everywhere. He's trying to like turn this into a situation where he's the good guy. I wouldn't say he's the good guy though. I do think he's a victim though. Yeah.
In a way, like he's not. He isn't great for. See, it's the way we always do detract from someone choosing to save their own skin and adapting and surviving instead of standing up for principles. We have a clear preference as a society, even if you can't really blame the guy for getting offered a chance not to be murdered and taking it and being like, oh God, I wish I could protect my other officers, but the fuck I can. Yeah.
Right. But he also had a totally different circumstance than Kirk did. Yeah. First of all, this is a guy who flunked out and was not able to become a starship captain.
Exactly. And
like
he was just some regular captain of a trade ship, right? Or whatever.
Right. He was just like your, everyday captain. He didn't have a full fucking starship. And what ship he did have was damaged severely by meteorites.
Mm-hmm.
He just
had
doesn't,
no way out. Yeah.
He doesn't have the resources. Kirk almost didn't have the resources if it wasn't for Scotty beaming him up.
Yeah. He got lucky on that end. He got lucky they didn't just shoot him at any point and was like, swords only because, damn it, masculinity. And, like, if they just, put a couple hundred bullets through him, it wouldn't have ended that way. It would have ended pretty badly for the show, but,
sure. And we don't fully have, like, a real thorough backstory on what happens with Merrick and how he got to be first citizen.
That's some vagaries.
But it certainly seems like he chose the path of least resistance as far as like, look, we'll just pretend we're from another province. we're going to do the gladiator games. I'll become first citizen. Or maybe he didn't mean to become first citizen, but it was just okay, I'm going to play along.
It's a very unclear position to begin with, but even with Kirk, he is very clearly on the pragmatic side of every issue, where it's like, well, if you don't agree to do this, they'll just do this, and then they'll bring them down in chunks, and it'll end up the same way. So make it easy for yourself, because that's what I did.
But also, he seems like he's very much in favor of going along with it, because to fight back would upend the society, which is against the Prime Directive.
Yeah, that too, which is weird, because this is the first time it comes up in a way where they adhere to it very strictly, and I'm just like, my dude, Kirk, how often have you just destroyed an entire society because you didn't think it was, actually progressing the civilization in your view of what civilization should be, and, struggle. But they're struggling fine, so, let the Romans live.
Right. Well, I don't think they had much of a choice, honestly. Like, I guess they could have just blasted the whole planet to shit with the Enterprise, but that doesn't help many people.
No, sure. They slightly more targeted. If you get rid of the proconsul, everything goes into chaos. The Roman Empire is very good with chaos, as we know. It'll speed things up, perhaps. It could have gone a number of ways. But they were mainly focused on getting the fuck out as soon as they realized there was no one to save there.
Yeah, but Merrick is a great example of the idea that you could be a slave without being in chains. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He's very much trapped and very much like exploited. And
that's the weird thing about the whole first citizen position to begin with, where you're like, does that mean a fucking thing besides being the lackey of the proconsul? Like, doesn't help anyone. He doesn't exert any real power. He's just there to be part of the system, just another cog. And also, it's like, we do meet the old man in the cave where he's like, well, I used to be a consul of sorts, so there has to be more of an infrastructure. But at the same time, this proconsul doesn't seem like he's one of 30 being, equally sharing the power, unless it's just every consul gets a province, and he just happens to be the one where Merrick landed. I don't know, and therefore he knows what other consuls don't know about the Outer Worlds. But that's a lot of implied stuff, I guess. Yeah.
All right, so at the beginning of this episode, I have to say, it made me laugh. Like, they're talking to the sun worshippers in the cave, and Septimus, or whatever his name was, Septimus Prime, and Septimus is like, like, oh, you must take great care. We'll fetch you some appropriate clothing.
Yeah.
And like, what they fetch them is like clothes that all the other slaves wear, so that the Romans will know immediately, oh, we gotta fucking imprison you.
Yeah, you're slaves. Why the fuck aren't you enslaved? Didn't take long. Also, very, very, for what was it, Flavius Maximus, or the
something
gladiator
like that?
Guy. Yeah. It's kind of stupid that he, continues that far with them and just sticks around to talk, and then ends up being captured again. Like, oh, poor guy. Yeah. Great life, huh?
All right. So, I got the feeling that you felt this way as well. Lots of people, like this episode, going back to the Christian aspects of it, the American Catholic considers Bread and Circuses to be one of the best episodes of Star Trek because it explicitly endorses Christianity. And I've seen this, a lot of people think that this episode does explicitly endorse Christianity. And I just can't see it that way. Even when I was a kid, I'm sitting there going, no.
It's not that simple. Yeah.
One, what it does is it sets up the fact that in a system of parallel development, somewhere else in the world, there was a Caesar, there was a Christ, so Christ cannot be the Son of God because, or at least the only Son of God, because he existed on another planet and this all happened a different way.
Yeah, it's presumably not even the same Christ. Like, he doesn't have to be called Jesus. He doesn't have to be from Nazareth. Nazareth doesn't have to exist. You know, all that shit.
Right.
It is very much the viewer is projecting their own beliefs onto it because they assume, well, the Son of God could be anywhere in the universe, right? It's surely the same God, the same Son. Doesn't necessarily make sense within, diegetically within the universe.
Right.
So no, I agree. It's what people want to see. And I mean, I was raised Catholic. I wasn't raised American Catholic, so my instinct is immediately, let's disagree with the American Catholic.
Well, the American Catholic is a website.
I figured. But let's be real. If you're going to name your website that, you're probably not on any sort of level of religiosity that I can find a lot of common ground with.
But furthering into this topic though, take note, I would say that the slaves or the sons, the followers of the sun,
children of the sun, right?
Yeah, whatever it was.
Sure.
They only talk about like brotherhood, not killing, peace,
love.
Yeah, those are the only portions of Christianity that they talk about.
Yeah,
and they were trying to be super, super vague, right? Because they didn't want the reveal to come out until the very end. Of course,
yeah, and don't be specific about political implications of Christianity anyway, because you don't want that on your show. But
so.
Because the American Catholic will either very much agree or very strongly disagree.
Yeah. So, yeah, you did not want to, invoke the ire of the, any Catholic group or any Christian group in the 60s. Yeah.
No, sure. You still might not be very fond of any sort of thing they have to say these days. So, yeah.
When you look at the crew's joy over it, to me, I think it is their joy over the existence of Christ from a scientific wonder perspective. Like they are in awe of the parallels between this world and that world. They're disconnected from the truth of what Christianity ushered in our world, namely the Dark Ages, and then later the Crusades. And I think they're just thinking, this is fucking wild. Christianity was subdued until the 1960s. What does that mean for this version of Earth? Yeah. And also this episode is incorrectly predicated on the thought that the rise of Christianity is, a beacon is for us as the viewer supposed to mean, oh, well, Rome is going to fall. So now that the word is coming out,
they think that's the issue. And if this society has evolved for 2,000 years to invent fucking television sets, I'm not sure the usual constraints on, an empire that big, yada yada, will apply in the same way that it did in our history. But whatever, Christianity defeats all. As long as you have a Son of God, that will upend the whole polytheistic worldview that is clearly not that present in this Roman Empire because they don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah. Now, of course, in the real world,
I've heard of the real world.
The real world, our world, the Eastern Roman Empire was very, 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 very fucking Christian and didn't fall until 1453, which was almost like 1,000 years after the Western Roman Empire collapsed. So if it was Christianity that collapsed the Roman Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire would have collapsed first.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little things that just don't pan out.
Little things, yeah. Just like I said, I was watching it and I was like, really? Sol, Helios, Apollo, none of those fucking guys have ever crept into your history class on the Romans. Or the Greeks, for that matter. Just any ancient anything.
Not even Sol Invictus, who was around at the rise of Christianity.
Yeah, that fucker stuck around, and that cult has been continuous throughout the fucking civilization. Like, that empire had sun worshippers all the damn time. That's it's just not always in records, but they've pretty much confirmed that it's likely to be all the same guy.
Well, the Roman Empire was the Roman Empire was so vast and comprised so many different cultures. Like,
and I mean, they said in Rome. They didn't say in the Roman Empire, but still within Rome, there was the guy. We were, of course they worshipped the fucking sun. They had gods for every fucking celestial body and anything underneath the sky. Like, Jesus.
But the other part of like why I think it's like the crew going like, oh wow, it's happening again. It's happening all over again. Kirk actually says that this episode was written by Gene Coon and Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah,
like
it's a lot of gene pools mixing up.
And those two don't ever make me think, like, we're going to come right out and say Christ is the Son of God for real, and we're going to
realsies, this
time. Like...
No, exactly. And that's what struck me in the performances, where I think just the actress had a slightly different take, maybe. But I figured, if I watched it back, I could see this being less overtly... oh boy, and a lot more like, oh, that's wild. Like, it's still, apparently in their world, the Roman Empire did fall because of purely, the existence of peace and love.
Yeah.
Which in a way, it didn't help, but it's the two philosophies on how to reign over a massive empire, where it's like, either you unite everyone, colonialism. Everyone's a Christian now, and if you don't, how dare you? We'll hack some hands off you. Whatever we did in all of the world. But on the other hand, you had the Roman Empire being very successful in being like, oh, your local cults, all of your sectarian beliefs, all of the different worshipping rituals, all of the gods, they're fine. We'll incorporate them. They're all part of the same mythology now. And that worked well also for a good time. But yeah, it's very incompatible with the monotheistic, it's Christ or nothing buddy approach. So, there's a conflict there. But
this episode would work really well if they just wouldn't keep explaining that there were no sun worshippers in Rome.
Yeah. Just cut out some of the lines that assert something about history.
Yeah.
That's your solution.
Oh my God, Spock giving the incorrect amounts of people who died during all the world wars and shit. Like, oh my God.
I was like, wait, what? Like 11, World War III, they can do whatever the fuck they want, sure.
Right.
But before that, I was like, wait, who are you counting and who are you not counting?
Yeah.
Did they not have the numbers in yet in the 60s? Are they just Holocaust deniers? What are we doing?
Yeah, I'll get to those. They're somewhere in my notes.
I'm looking forward to them. Yeah, because I heard that and I was like, wait. I mean, I know how many Jews died, but totals, really.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
We'll get there.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about this episode, though. I really do like this episode.
Me too. It is very fun. It's just also very fun to nitpick the shit out of it, because it makes so many so clearly absurd claims in its, and that's part of the charm as well. But it is, a good excuse to be like, we're gonna visit some Roman gladiators, and that's really all you need. And then it, does elevate it to, oh, we're in some weird capitalist dystopia as well. It's just that, well, we are clearly sympathetic toward the children of the sun, because, they're the slaves, they're the underdogs, they're living in caves and poverty and servitude and yada yada. Like, it's clear in that sense that, we're not rooting for the empire here, as if we ever would. We'll just ignore all of the Christian demagogues throughout history.
I mean, that there's some angry guy sitting around who voted for a certain party, and are watching this episode and being like, well, the problem is these damn queer slaves over here in this cave. They're just all about, they're all about peace and love and not getting your piece of the damn pie.
Yeah. Bunch of pussies. Jesus. Oh, Lord.
Man, I love Star Trek.
Yep.
Anyway, nice little foreshadowing at the beginning of this episode where McCoy says, as they beam down, just once, I'd like to be able to land someplace and say, behold, I am the Archangel Gabriel. And Spock's like, I fail to see the humor in that situation, Doctor. He says, naturally, you could hardly claim to be an angel with those pointed ears, Mr. Spock, but say you landed someplace with a pitchfork.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Very, very fun. And at the same time, it does add credence to the fact that Christianity is still very relevant in their minds, it would seem, because it is the mythology they grab as an example. Mm-hmm. Whereas I don't know if in a couple centuries we would instantly think of Archangel Gabriel, or whether it would just be equally likely to grab any other mythological figure. But that's a quibble.
Yeah,
it is a fun exchange just generally, because I get the sentiment of oh, if only.
Well, the devil with the pointed ears and the pitchfork and it's not biblical either. That's
no, not at all. No,
that's all like pop culture apocrypha.
Sure, and same goes for angels, because my God, those descriptions are fun.
Well, there were some that were like, okay, cool, they look like men, and then there were some that's like, okay, flaming wheels in the sky with millions of eyes or some crap, crazy stuff,
Yeah.
And
I like the ones that have like 6 pairs of wings that are, covering their face and eyes. And
that's
stuff. That one's fun.
The cherubs, yeah.
Right. I can't.
Notably not fucking babies in diapers with wings.
Very sad. Yeah. Though you could combine the two. What if they're babies in diapers with a bunch of fucking wings? And
Yeah, sure.
The Renaissance would have looked very different.
Lots of great Spock and Kirk stuff in this episode. Medical men are trained in logic, Mr. Spock. Really, Doctor? I had no idea they were trained. Watching you, I assumed it was trial and error.
Yes.
I love Leonard Nimoy, dude. Leonard Nimoy, like nobody says censor or error like he does. Like he's got to put that or on the end of it.
Mm-hmm. There is an enunciation. But they're at each other's throats again. I love it. It's great.
And the Flavius and Kirk thing where they're like, are they enemies, Captain? I'm not sure. They're sure. And then all of that culminates into one of the finest, and in retrospect, with the knowledge that we have, saddest exchanges between McCoy and Spock, because it very well could have been the final exchange. It really was the exchange that I feel like put like an end cap on the relationship, where McCoy finally figures out what it is that is always ailing Spock.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is, this is, aside from, I think, Journey to Babel, and that because of the way television works, it's a little iffy, but this might have been Gene L. Coon's last episode.
Oof.
He had throat cancer. It killed him in 1973, but he was...
Yeah.
The production was pretty troubled. The writing of it was pretty troubled for a number of actual production, numbers reasons. But, Roddenberry was very stick-to-itive about what he wanted. Coon was the same, but also, in a bad way because of throat cancer. And
that tends to fuck with you. You get a pass.
He literally brought on John Meredith Lucas as the next producer, his replacement in this episode. So while he is credited for, I think, one more episode, and he did work on Journey to Babel, because a lot of these things are happening at the same time. A lot of these scripts and stuff. He's not credited in Journey to Babel.
Yeah.
So, so this might have been like his farewell Spock. This is his farewell Spock and McCoy exchange.
Yeah.
And
there's a damn good one.
It is a damn good one. just the McCoy apologizing to Spock, and
yeah, that goes about as well as you'd expect.
But of course, it also ends on a funny note because he's like, I'm worried about Jim too. And then like Kirk's lavishly eating grapes and knocking boots.
Yep. Oh, I'm so worried about this guy. Where were you, Kirk? Well, I'll explain later.
Oh my God. No. What did he actually say? What he said was really fantastic.
They threw me a few curves.
They certainly did.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God, that was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
I love that Memory Alpha like calls it a night, but was it night? Like he sleeps into the afternoon. We know that much, but
yeah,
I didn't know it was the following day. I was just like, oh, he took a nap.
Look, man, I don't know. I mean, I guess she hit him up late at night and.
Yeah, now that you mention it, the television, like, because of the television set, I just registered everything as same day, but it was a night, like they mentioned a time at some point, as a prime time schedule thing, where it was like, sure, it must be night, fair enough.
Yeah. So the very pertinent statement from McCoy that I was referring to is, do you know why you're not afraid to die, Spock? You're more afraid of living. Each day you stay alive is just one more day you might slip and let your human half peek out.
Yeah. Woof.
Fantastic.
Great analysis. Yeah. And you can just assume that's how it works because it makes sense and it's much more interesting.
And we, like, as the viewers, we've known that.
Yeah, in part. Yeah.
But McCoy didn't know that.
No, sure. But even like we know that now, but it hasn't been that explicitly confirmed either. I mean, we'll get back to that next episode probably as well, but you know, we know there's more to Vulcan society than just what meets the eye, that they have some weird repressed feelings and stuff, but him being half human is you know, it's often mentioned as he must have something going on in there, but it's not always confirmed as a reason or as even a thing he actually experiences. Like we're just getting more and more of that, and this is just a big chunk added on top of that pile. Or I'm just forgetting some of the more explicit things leading up to this, because I do think that's always been the intention, but I'm not sure we've seen a whole lot that actually like confirms it straight up beyond the people around him going, well, yeah, sure, that was a mistake. You truly just logical. No emotion there.
Yeah.
Like that's been the extent of it, and like we tend to agree with it, but that's also like we're human. We want to see what we want to see.
I mean, the Naked Time, he was very, like, as Spock felt the effects of that disease that everyone was going through, he outright said it, you know, he's constantly fighting between his two halves and can't let any emotion come out.
Right. What episode was this? God, I can't keep track of the titles. Yeah, you said it, but I'm just bad with titles.
This is the one where Sulu's, they keep looking at their hand and their hand's wet, and Chekhov's running around shirtless with a sword.
Oh, you meant Sulu, right? With the sword?
Didn't I say Sulu? I thought I said Sulu.
You said Sulu first, and then you said Chekhov, but it's fine.
No. Sorry.
I understood. Yeah. Just making sure we don't get a lot of hate mail.
I'll take it. We don't get any mail.
That's fair. Send us some email, but please be kind. I'm very fragile.
Anyway, yeah. So Spock has mentioned before that he's broken.
Yeah, that's
you know, we've had situations where he has, you know, in the same episode where he wanted to be with Christine Chapel, but he couldn't.
Yeah.
You know,
but that one's also been slightly that like he also packaged that as I couldn't offer you what you need because I just can't, you know. Like he's always holding up some level of pretense and always needs some sort of external excuse to be mind wiped into, ooh, I have feelings now, I'm happy again. You know, that's or I'm deeply sad, whichever.
But even if you go by Amok Time, where they go back to Vulcan with Spock and his Ponfar, like they absolutely have to have some emotion. Just Vulcan, pure blooded Vulcans, not even half breeds as they call them on the show.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Because, Ston and T'Pring wanted each other and were willing to, commit a man to death over.
Which is perfectly logical.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but, and I feel like that entire episode does also, like I said, imply that there's a lot of repression going on just generally, where it's like, oh, sure, you suddenly have some feelings when you need to fight and fuck because that's a ritual now and that makes it logical. But like that's where we start to get into more of the Vulcan society and what goes on there, which I think, like I said, next episode sheds some light on too. But this is just another, pretty accurate piece of analysis from one of his friends, or whatever they are. They don't know themselves. But it's just very, very succinctly, just well put. It's just a great line, and I was just trying to be like, well, do we know that up to this point? Well, not as explicitly as it's put here, but I think it's a very nice, just sharp take on what is going on with him, and the constant resistance to any sort of exploration, and like he is restrained in every aspect, and that makes for an interesting character whenever something does suddenly present itself that might get him off balance.
Yeah.
It's one of many reasons we love him. Yeah.
I reckon I'll move on to some trivia for the episode. We are running late.
Oh, sure. But you mentioned a lot of production bullshit, so let's get to it.
We did, dude. All right, so the title, Bread and Circuses, and all of this is from, or most of this, not all of this, some of it's from Starlog. Well, a lot of this is from Memory Alpha, but they, of course, cite a bunch of stuff as well.
So it goes.
But the title, Bread and Circuses, Panem et Circuses, in Latin,
Panem et Circenses. Yes, sorry. I couldn't help myself.
Do it. You do it right. Do it right. Comes from a line.
That's cool Latin. There's a likelihood they pronounced it more Italian like back in the day, but
sure.
The hard K is what you learn in school, and Church Latin from the Middle Ages does use the S sound for circenses.
Yeah.
But I didn't grow up with that shit, so I don't know.
All right. Anyway, that comes from a line by the Roman satirist Juvenal. Is that right?
Well,
is that right, Effie?
I mean, it's an English, like, that's a way, that's complicated, because it's probably not his exact name in Latin. I would have to look into that. Like, you guys call Homer, like, that's not...
I just expected you to correct me and then go double back and say, never mind, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. They said it differently than I said it after I've corrected you.
No, but he was called Juvenalis. Like, there's an extension to almost everything. Like, Virgil was Virgilius. Like, there's y'all do Latin weird, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh.
English is weird.
It is. But, I like the idea of a satirist called Juvenal. So
that's fair. I mean, it's still the same meaning. Like, juvenalis, same guy. Oh.
Anyway, it refers to the practice in ancient Rome of providing a regular free bread or grain dole to the lower classes and free entertainment in the city's arenas and circuses, both of which had the effect of preventing civil unrest in the populace.
Yep. It is the entire, like, keep them fed, keep them entertained, and they'll be pacified. It's how we still view our plebs, if you will, our people.
Mm-hmm.
It's Yeah, it's stood the test of time.
Yeah. So the treatment for this episode was by John Newbold, based on an idea by Gene Roddenberry and Gene L. Kuhn. Mm-hmm. And then Roddenberry and Kuhn received sole writing credit for the episode. Apparently they were writing it the whole time, as we'll find out. Roddenberry's and Kuhn's bitter arguments over its tone, coupled with the fact that Kuhn was suffering from throat cancer, of which he died in 1973, is believed to have hastened Kuhn's departure as operating producer. Yeah. He recommended John Meredith Lucas to take over by suggesting the idea to him directly, noting Meredith Lucas's work on Ben Casey, The Fugitive, and other series programs.
Stuff I've definitely not seen.
Oh, yeah, no. Roddenberry revised the shooting script as the episode was being filmed. Director Ralph Saninsky, if I can say it, remembers picking up the day's script pages. I don't know that.
That's not Latin. I'm not educated on wherever he's from.
I would guess Polish.
Somewhere in the area, but it could be a bunch of Eastern Europe. I'm not too good at that.
But he remembers picking up the day's script pages when arriving to the set in the morning.
Woof. That's always great.
The caves where the Children of the Sun hide out are one of the most used locations in television and movies, in addition to being the entrance to the Bat Cave.
Hey, I know that.
Yeah. They're also seen in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Kung Fu, and various police and Western shows. They are located right below the famous Hollywood sign.
Oh, that's fun.
So during the location shooting for this episode, the new producer, John Meredith Lucas, visited the set accompanied by Roddenberry. Lucas was struck. He was struck by the tension and the bad atmosphere among the cast. Quote, Shatner came around the corner, and when he saw Gene Roddenberry, he turned around and went the other way, and the cast was fighting too. All the actors complained to me about all the other actors.
Oh, God.
That's from Star Trek.
It's a miracle they ever seemed like decent friends on screen.
Yeah, that's from Star Trek.
It does explain why McCoy and Spock do fight very believably. But, it's impressive that anyone pretends to like Shatner on screen. It's good acting.
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy.
But yeah, that's from Star Trek The Real Story, page 354, if anyone's interested.
I will grab my copy.
Yeah. The newsreel scene of the arrest was filmed in front of an office building at Paramount Studios. Paramount production buildings were also utilized for location filming in Patterns of Force and Assignment Earth. Oh. One of the shots of the planetary capital in the opening of Act 2, the last one, is of the Great Dome at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, whose words can be read somewhat above the pillars. The first shot shows the Legion of Honor on the left bank in Paris. Its motto, Honor et Patrie, is not Latin, but French.
Which is why it's Honneur et Patrie.
Okay.
That's the A and et. But I caught that immediately because I was like, this is somewhere in France. Go fuck yourself.
Absolutely.
It was Paris. Thank goodness. This is why I live for the trivia.
The middle shot shows a drive-by view of the Joseph Stalin Palace of Culture and Science in Warsaw, Poland.
Good on Stalin for making it into Trek.
Hey, man, you got to love that stock footage.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's immediately what I figured, but it was cool. Like, it added something. It's just, it shouldn't be too recognizable, which is why, the bank sort of works. It's not like the most prominent Parisian fucking building so they got away with it.
I don't know any prominent Parisian fucking buildings. I didn't know they had buildings specified for fucking.
Honey, it's Paris. They're all fucking buildings.
I've been told that, but then
I've never been. What the fuck do I know?
Every time I see anything in Paris, they're not doing anything. They're just eating snails and shit, wearing a scarf,
Yeah, and a beret, and smoking.
Right.
Probably smoking. A lot of smoking. But that's because they just fucked. They are smoking or they're fucking.
I will say they've all got that baguette.
Yeah.
They're all carrying a baguette.
Some of them are wet. Trust me.
They're all dressed like the Hamburglar.
Oh God. It makes sense.
No.
Le Hamburglar. I don't know.
Oh God. I've lost my place. This is one of only 2 original series episodes featuring dialogue in Act 1 before the title of the episode appears on screen.
The
other
that.
episode, the other episode is a private little war.
Looking forward to that. It had a fun, like, it was a good shot to have the title on. It was a good place to have the title.
Yeah.
It made me feel the feels of like, ooh, art house movie. We have credits in the front and then a title and then no bullshit in the back. But we did have bullshit in the back. I just didn't watch all of it.
Proconsul Marcus's insignia that he wears on his outfit is not a Roman symbol. It is rather the coat of arms of the English playwright William Shakespeare.
Have I seen this consciously? Oh, sure. There's a picture. Thank goodness. Good to know. I didn't recognize Shakespeare, but glad he made it in as well.
It's a lot of fun there.
Stalin and Shakespeare, my two best. Okay, I can't quite say that out loud.
Oh, man. Hodgkin's law of parallel planetary development was used to explain the close similarities to Earth, but the writers were very inconstant with it. The most blatant is patterns of force, which at episode number 52 was after this, which was number 43. And so it makes even less sense if the episodes are watched in production order.
Which we're doing.
Which we're doing.
Goodness.
We'll have more of this.
I'm glad not all the writers agree on anything.
Right, no, you can't.
I mean, they don't agree on Earth history, so, it's fine.
Right. The names of the Roman gods mentioned in the episode are all mirror Earth's counterparts, which were based on earlier Greek counterparts, of course. Kirk and crew had actually encountered the god Apollo prior to this, and Kirk shows little reaction to the Roman gods when he learned of this. I think, that would have been cool if he'd been like, oh yeah, I met that guy.
Yeah. I hadn't even made that connection, but it's weird. Like, were they the same people on the different planets, or are there multiple of whatever race that was before that needed to be worshipped? Like, that's interesting. That crossover. Let's go.
That's exactly the kind of thing I would want to know. Like, because it totally seemed like they were real alien beings who came to Earth, and maybe they left Earth and they were like, well, fuck this place. We're going to go over here. And
where they're a little delayed still, and we'll have the same kind of fun. Yeah. And apparently they would have done a lot better if Apollo had just stayed the fuck there and didn't come back to those Earthlings. Whatever. Yeah.
Now, like, there is, I think I included it, there is a book that says, one of the novels says that there was a race called the Preservers, and that's actually from the show. But in the book, it said that the Preservers took some of humanity and put them on another planet, which was this planet. Right. And that's why so many of them are so similar, is because they were trying to, like, there are all these different worlds throughout the galaxy where they would go, oh shit, these people are probably going to die soon. Well, we probably need to, like, preserve them.
Yeah, let's keep a couple of them elsewhere and see them spread. And so that's, but that's fun, because it also immediately undercuts Hodgkin's entire law and explains a whole bunch of shit. So I'm down. I like that.
Which is fun. I also like the idea that the reason that we haven't seen too much of this, or any of this really, anywhere else on Star Trek, is because secretly, without much of the crew knowing, maybe Kirk and Spock only, one of their little directives was to actively seek out these strange parallel worlds and figure out, like, what exactly is the deal of this? Like, why does this keep happening? Why is it Earth?
Yeah. Like, why Hodgkin's law? Like, And that's the fun thing about a law. They're not that universal, They're universal until you discover a bunch of exceptions that will eventually upend your entire idea of physics. It's fun. Also, laws in sociology is kind of weird, but that's beside the point.
As we've mentioned, McCoy remarks that Rome had no sun worshippers, but this is inaccurate. Rome, in fact, had several cults that revered sun gods, including Helios Apollo, and Sol from the Greeks, Mithras from the Persians, and Elagabalus from the Syrians. In addition, from the 3rd century on, there was Sol Invictus, unconquered sun, aka, which may have been a new sect or a revival of an old one. Therefore, at least 2 of these gods would have been called sun in English.
Yeah, but I've also seen that Sol, like the Invictus, is indeed a new, perhaps a resurgence, but the implication is that they're largely seen as the same Sol as Sol with a different epithet, which tends to be the case, because it's not like all of the Roman and Greek gods didn't have like a bunch of nicknames that made them slightly different, but localized, but really still the same deity. That's just a given in that mess of a pantheon. And Sol is not technically part of the pantheon, but you get what I mean.
It's like how the Flash is also called the Scarlet Speedster.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Yeah, no, but it is very much a yeah.
And Superman is the Man of Steel.
Exactly.
Batman is the Dark Knight.
And the Caped Crusader, and like a dozen different things. But yeah, that's where we got it from. Like, they had their superheroes, and they had a bunch of nicknames, because you had Phoebus Apollo, which is the bright, that's why Apollo is, one of his many things is being a sunny person. So,
Right.
Anyway.
And Wonder Woman is Star Vagina. All of these things.
Wasn't she just called a cunt and then someone got canceled?
in Harley Quinn, the animated series, yes.
Sorry, I'm drifting off the franchise. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Dr. Psycho.
Yeah. God, that was good. That's the one cancel culture joke I was like, yeah, you guys get it. It's fine.
yeah. Dude, okay, so Wonder Woman's actual thing, isn't much better. It's like the Maiden of Might.
Oh God, no one uses that, and there's a reason for it.
Absolutely.
Wonder Woman is, if you think about it too long, is already pretty cringe, so you don't. There's no better alternative. Amazon Princess, maybe, fine. Everyone calls her Diana. Let's be fair. It's yeah, but that's again different franchise. Wrong podcast. Damn it.
No. Let me take over DC. I'll make everyone mad and call her that bad bitch, and everybody be mad.
I mean, it's accurate. I use the word cunt. You have a largely American audience.
Yeah.
I went over a bunch of lines there, but you know, I'm a silly European. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Just pretend I'm Australian and say it all day. It's fine. I consume all sorts of media. So.
Yeah, you're European. You're still hiding in caves, all afraid of the sun and shit.
Yeah. We worship it because it's so bright and it burns us. When we leave, we turn red, and that's why we worship in our caves. We have little altars with tiny lamps.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. One of them Europeans finally admitted that America is superior.
I mean, we do have great healthcare within the caves, and it's not nearly as expensive, so...
Right. Oh, man. Anyway, moving on.
Right, yeah.
So 2 different characters in this episode have the same name. The primary, Claudius Marcus, is the proconsul, while his namesake is mentioned as the gladiator who slew William B. Harrison, the last of the barbarians.
I did not notice that. Who the fuck thought that was a good idea?
I don't know.
Did they just improvise a name?
Now, I did like that, he pulls off Spock's little cap, and it's just a barbarian. I'm like, motherfucker, where are you seeing all these damn barbarians? Where are you getting this from? I mean, you saw some pointed ears and went, oh, I know you. No?
No, but they know barbarian is stranger, foreigner. So that's what the word means. So anyone who's not from around here, you have fucking ears that don't exist around this planet.
Yeah.
Just means, oh, you're not from around here. Sure. That's really all they're saying.
Maybe. Or maybe.
Because the barbarians are just the guys from his ship, meaning elsewhere.
Or maybe this world had a subclass of subhumans or some shit that were also evolving when these people came up, and they were considered barbarians, but they slayed them.
Sure, but then why would he remember? Because they probably weren't slayed last week. I think it's just the word barbarian being,
But William B.
foreign.
Harrison was the last of the barbarians, it says here. So, and if
Yeah.
Claudius Marcus, not the proconsul, but this other dude, slayed the last of the barbarians,
Mhm.
then that means that he would have remembered some barbarians.
I mean, he they generally still use the word barbarian, but I think in this context, the barbarians are just the people from Merrick's ship, because they were from, elsewhere.
I
from
know,
outside.
Effie. I know, but I want there to be like a Conan the Barbarian type of situation. I want there to be like fantasy elements on this one fucking world.
Okay,
Can we
fine.
just have...
Across the mountains, there's a bunch of, not Vulcans, not Romulans, but they have pointy ears, so they're scary, and therefore not Roman enough.
Dude, that would be badass if like some
Yeah.
of the Romulans, some of the people who like rejected the teachings of Surak
Right.
on Vulcan, like, and didn't wind up on Romulus, like if they like wound up on this world and then they wound up getting,
Call the planet Remus. I don't give a shit. It's fun. They're Romans.
No, Remus is a
planet.
twin world with Romulus.
Oh, God damn it,
already.
of course.
No.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, well.
Anyway.
It's taken. Yeah. Canon, Effie, canon.
Oh, God. Hey, this episode marks the final appearance of Kirk's second season light green wraparound tunic, apparently. Beginning with Assignment Earth, the next episode that followed in air date order. And when the series returned for its third and final season, Kirk resumes wearing his standard gold and black V-neck tunic full time. Now, we will see it again because we're doing production order.
Exactly. That's how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. So just don't be shocked when you see it.
I'll keep paying attention to what he's wearing occasionally.
That awful
every
green
time.
shirt.
Yeah.
That awful green shirt that looks like half of a bathrobe.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I know the one. Okay.
That ugly ass shirt.
It's not great. It's not his best look. It's not his best look.
I'm dressed like an olive.
I mean, the color hasn't been great on any of them, but it is very much worse.
Oh, here it is. Spock states that 6 million died in Earth's first World War. 11 million died in the second, and 37 million died in the third. The actual real world numbers are much higher for World War I and II, 15 to 19 million in World War I, and 50 to more than 80 million in World War II.
Yeah, that sounds more accurate, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. They
really pulled them out of their ass for that one. Were they just counting Americans or something? No, because it's the First World War. Never mind. What the fuck are they doing? We're just counting Germans? Like,
I don't know. You know what? They may have just been counting Americans and not thinking about it, or they may have just made up a number.
That's what I thought, but like you weren't involved in the First World War, right? Like not to that extent, at least. The Second
Maybe they were
World
just counting
War,
Allen. Honestly, I think they were just making shit up, dude.
That's fair. I think the writer was just like, millions. Make something fun. Yeah.
Again, this is 1960s television. They were like, we make it, it's produced, it's done.
Yeah.
This will never be shown again.
Bitch. Yeah.
Maybe there will be like a couple of reruns and then this will peter off and no one will ever see this again.
That's fair.
Certainly, some asshole redneck and his trans friend are not going to be poring over every fucking detail of this series in the year 2025.
Surely by then we'll go extinct as a species. It'll be fine.
And making character judgments based on our incorrect Roman facts.
I mean, maybe Spock just has a different way of counting. Maybe they have a Vulcan system or he's a really problematic Vulcan and human lives are only like 3/5 of a Vulcan life. So, math.
Right. Also, I have to really stop referring to myself as a redneck because I'm really just not.
It's not that bad. No.
Real rednecks actually just hate me. And they're like, you're not a real redneck.
How dare you?
I'm far, far, far too liberal to be a redneck.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And
go back to your trailer park and vote GOP, and then we can talk. Yeah, no.
And aside from making fun of rednecks, I eschew the redneck voice. So
yeah, that helps.
I don't have a fish on my hat. I have a bat symbol on my hat.
It's a difference. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're not full redneck for the podcast's sake.
Right.
It would be a lot harder to listen to.
Oh, it would be so terrible.
And I say that knowing full well I'm the one with an accent on this one. So
right. Well, I've got a little bit of one accidentally sometimes.
It happens. I just mirror whatever the fuck I hear, so.
Yeah. All right, next bit. Not only were they transitioning to a new producer, but they were still reeling from changes from Gulf and Wester's purchase of Desilu, which had been rebranded Paramount Television. Director Ralph Sineski says in Starlog, Paramount had a lot to do with the series' demise. Gene Kuhn had told me that the episodes had been scheduled for 6 days of production and that they averaged 6.5, although some went to 7. Pretty remarkable for that kind of quality that they were delivering. When Paramount bought Desilu, a kind of corporate mentality took over. Suddenly, we had a 6-day schedule, period. They wouldn't allow any overruns at all. Before that, we had a 7:30 crew call and started shooting at 8 a.m. Sometimes you would go to 7 or 7:30. You would finish so the episode would work out. But now you had a 6-day schedule and you had to absolutely pull the plug at 12 on the 6th day. In terms of actual hours, it pulled us down to a 5.5 day work schedule. The other schedule hadn't given you that much grace, but suddenly you felt that you were shooting schlock because of the production's speed. This is one of the reasons why, in a way, I resent Paramount having such a hit in Star Trek, because if they had their way, they would have killed it off. It survived in spite of them, and now they have this bonanza making all this money. It has nothing to do with them.
That's a good point. Stick it to the man. Anyway.
He went on to say that this tight schedule resulted in the episode turning out to be of lower quality than it could have been under better circumstances, especially regarding the arena scenes. The scenes in the arena are the part of Bread and Circuses most harmed by the time restrictions imposed by the new management. The sequences were literally shot on the run. The satiric look at live television was there, but the spectacle of the Roman arena was far less than it should have been. There was so much more that could have been done that would have been exciting and entertaining, but it required the time to stage and rehearse, with necessary care taken to avoid injury to the actors involved.
That sounds like someone got hurt.
It does. That set piece should have been the highlight of the production, but those bloodhounds in black suits were nipping at our heels.
I mean, I guess you could have gone more interesting in terms of stunt work, but I think the clunkiness of the set is perfect for it.
I mean, yeah, I think it did wind up pretty damn great. But, when you consider that he had a vision for it himself.
I'm sure he did.
And, it's not going to match what was in his head.
Of course not. But that's your job as director, compromising your vision because it's unattainable. Especially on a television budget. Yeah. But it looked great. Like I said, that was a set piece. Those shots of Spock easily defending himself, great in character, makes all the sense in the world, and just I dug it.
I did too.
It's one of the highlights. Just that. I mean, some of it went on a bit long, where you're like, okay, I get it. There's a bunch of buttons, but just you had me with the zoom out shot of like. It is a bad television set. It's not an actual arena anymore because we've evolved past that, and it's delightful.
Yeah, I agree. He says the production was rushed. It was under a great deal of pressure. He says both Gene Roddenberry and Gene Kuhn were writing on the show as we were shooting. Yeah. I do remember that my concern was that we not tip our hand as the fact that we were doing a Christ story from the word go. We devised the idea of them thinking it's sun worshippers. That took some doing, but they did it. Originally, you knew it was the Son of God, and the story had no place to go.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah. He says,
I'm glad they fixed that.
Yeah. He says, I cannot speak for other directors and the other productions, but I can definitely say that there was a drop in quality from This Side of Paradise, Metamorphosis, and Bread and Circuses to the other 2 episodes I directed the second season. And I ascribe the reason for this drop to be partly because or partly caused by the lack of Gene Coon's stewardship of the scripts, and the rest to the impossible expectation that the episodes in the series could be filmed in 5.5 days. Yeah. As I bemoan the loss of Gene Coon, I do not mean to dismiss John Meredith Lucas. His was a formidable task. In one of my early postings, I described what it felt like as a director coming to direct a long-running series for the first time. It was like a captain taking new command of a ship in battle. For John, taking over as producer of Star Trek, I felt it was like an admiral being assigned to command of an entire fleet, and to do it mid-season, a monstrous assignment. Filling Gene Coon's shoes. Use your imagination.
Yeah. So everything's going to get worse for the last season and a half?
Yeah.
Okay, looking forward to that. Anyway. Oh boy.
Yeah, the fans wholeheartedly agree that season 3 is the worst.
Okay.
For sure. Now,
well, God,
there's still, but I will say there's a lot of fun to be had discussing this shit.
Fair enough. That's the entertainment value, I guess. We'll provide it. Damn it.
We'll try.
We'll attempt. We'll attempt to be entertaining for once.
There is also a lot of stuff that I really enjoy for the rest of the time. So
good.
It'll be okay.
We'll get through it together.
We will. All right. Now, according to the autobiography of James T. Kirk, this is a book, the slave woman Drusilla gave birth to James Kirk's natural son, Eugenio.
Of course.
The Enterprise A later returns to the planet to find that Eugenio has become a movie director, and they want his film, The Final Frontier. That's what they came up. Okay, God. Yeah, that's in a book. That's just in a book. A little extended universe shit.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the Roman planet. Virile. He fucks once, and the woman carries his child.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That is a pretty common thing in some of these, and all of the nearly 1,000 novels they've written about Star Trek. That pops up quite a few times. It's like, oh well, they went to a planet where Kirk's son did a thing, and he was from a different person.
Of course, yeah.
Now, the Roman planet, known as Magna Roma to its inhabitants, according to some published Star Trek reference material, is revisited in the novel The Captain's Honor, set 100 years after the encounter by the original Enterprise crew. The novel details how the alternate Rome conquered their world and explains that 100 years after the events of Bread and Circuses, the Romans are now Federation members and are participating in galactic affairs utilizing at least one Constitution-class starship. The former USS Farragut, renamed the USS Centurion, and run according to their own methods and principles rather than those of Starfleet.
Well, that seems... Are you part of the Federation or not? Like, what are you allowed to do within this fucking... Are you part of them, or why are you not just part of Starfleet? That is weird. How are these regulations so lax?
And according to the novel The Poisoned Chalice, the people of Magna Roma were descended from humans transplanted from Earth by the Preservers. By 2385, a Magna Romani named Attia served as first officer of the USS Lionheart. All right. All that shit is like...
Magna Romani? Is that what I'm... That's bullshit. That's just... Anyway.
Probably.
I will stop correcting Latin. But that looks like a goddamn plural, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Of course, boy. This is off of Memory Alpha, so someone may have just,
fair enough,
edited it incorrectly.
Oh, yeah. Because it would be a Magnus Romanus, or perhaps a Magna Romanus if you're gonna, but that still doesn't make sense grammatically. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's not great.
Or they developed exactly like us, except for that one thing.
Sure. Or it's, first officer, is it a he or a she? I don't know from Attia.
I don't know. I didn't read that.
Attia. It is a feminine A at the end there within Latin, so it could be a Magna Romana. Who is to say? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably own that novel, but I haven't read it.
So it goes.
It's somewhere down there.
You can't read them all. It's
somewhere down there in the library.
Exactly. That's what it's there for, the library.
Yeah. It's there to be pretty, and maybe I'll read it one day.
Exactly. So
can't read them all.
Yeah, that's how it works. You collect them first, and then maybe you read some of them.
That's right.
That's how I do it.
That's right. All right. I think that's going to do it for Bread and Circuses. How do you feel?
I think we covered a lot of ground. I think we're good. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, join us next time as DC Fontana brings more world building to this intergalactic fable, because we're settling in for a journey to Babel.
Well played, sir.
Yeah. I had alternates.
You had like 3 takes
times.
of like, how can I?
Yeah. Well, one of them was, join us next time. There's a murderer on board, so Spock might pull the cord.
Jesus.
Yeah?
Works too.
All right. I had, join us next time when you'll hear Sarek say, my wife, attend, why a Tellarite meets his end.
That's just impressive, honestly.
I like that one.
That's good, yeah.
Here's my favorite. Join us next time. A killer runs amok while Spock's parents finger fuck.
Okay. I'm glad you ordered them like this.
Yeah.
That's one to go out on.
Yeah. They're always putting those 2 fingers up. Like.
Yeah. They invented a new ritual for the Vulcans, and they needed to show it as often as possible. We'll talk about that next time.
I know what those fingers smell like. Anyway.
Wet like a baguette.
Until next time, Joe Lontrue, live long and prosper, and as always,
eat a dick, people. Eat a dick. And plank on that clit.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.